Hey y'all, I'm Bucky.
I'm Brandon.
And welcome back to our channel. Y'all, this video is well overdue, but we are finally bringing it to you. Who knew that being parents took so much of your time? And well, it does. And so even making content and videos, even though it's just us talking, we've kind of just been spending time with him and just kind of focusing on him. But yeah, look at him. He's
chilling, y'all.
It's about feeding time, so we're gonna have to probably make this pretty quick. But we want to get on here and talk about the birth story, and a lot of people don't even know what his name is. So I thought we would discuss that, because a lot of people comments are like, "What's his name? What's his name?" So we'll discuss. Go talk.
We're discussing. So
I can't get comfortable.
For real, this is hard to watch to deal with right here. Look at this, y'all. This is the best uncle thing we've ever had on this channel or any channel. So the birth story. So he was originally due October 7th, and then our carrier went to an OB appointment on September 26th. It was Monday, September 26th, and she had developed preeclampsia a little bit, which is high blood pressure when you're pregnant, which is kind of a dangerous thing for both the birth mother and the baby. So basically, what happened at that appointment, we FaceTimed with her and the doctor was like, "We're going to have a baby." And we were like, "What do you mean?" It
was interesting though, at first she was texting us, and I guess before, they were talking about inducing the next Monday.
Yeah.
So it was gonna be October 1st, I think, and I was like, "Oh, I
don't think so." Yeah.
I really want a September baby. My birthday's in September, so I was kind of bummed. But then she went and peed, and it came back, and there was protein in her urine.
Yeah.
So that's why they were like, "All right, we need
which
to go
is a sign
now.
of preeclampsia.
And we just need to get it going." So that happened. We were on the phone. Obviously, Brandon left work.
Yep.
We had our bags and everything already packed and ready to go. So Brandon just got here and we took off.
And we drove.
So she kind of took her time. The doctor was like, "You can go back home, figure out your kid situation.
Get your bags, get your stuff." Because the hospital where we delivered was about 45 minutes from her house and about 3.5 hours from us.
Yeah.
So we had a much longer drive, obviously, than she did. So she went home, she got her stuff, she went back, and then we got to the hospital a little bit after they did. I say they, her and her boyfriend. They checked in, got a room and everything, and then that's kind of when things started. They tested her blood pressure. It was sort of elevating. It looked like it was going up. So that's when they kind of started the process of induction. And that took a little while, and there were some there were some little bumps in the road. But ultimately that was Monday. So this is all happening Monday evening, and then Monday night comes along and they're measuring her to see how far she's dilated. She's not really dilating that much, so it just is kind of taking a while. And then Tuesday rolls around, which is the 27th, which is the day he was born. That day rolls around and they finally are giving her more meds. And then, I don't know, just at some point that afternoon, the doctor came in and, checked her cervix again, and she had dilated up to 8, which was they were like, "Okay, it's go time."
Literally,
yeah.
I think she went from a 4 or 5 to an 8 within 30 minutes,
no time.
maybe.
Yeah. And obviously this was her 5th, delivery.
Yeah.
So, she's a pro at this. She kind of knows what's going on. She's in labor. It's actually kind of funny because the doctor, there were 2 doctors. There was a resident doctor, I think, and then our actual doctor. But the resident doctor was in there. She's like, "Okay, well, let's talk about what our roles will be. What are we all going to do?" And we were like, "What do you mean what we're going to do?" We didn't know we would have a job during the delivery, but essentially both of us were down at her legs, holding her legs. So her legs were in stirrups.
I had one, he had the other.
Yeah, so when she would actually contract and push, we would push her legs up sort of into her chest, which, obviously...
So we had a view of everything.
Yeah, we do. We were watching everything.
We were, because we wanted to. We wanted to see him, come out. We wanted the whole thing. So started pushing, and in between pushes, she was doing great, and like we were like joking in between, and it was just like, oh, okay, like this is how it's gonna go. We started like seeing his head like come out a little bit,
which is
it
freaky,
was like a little
y'all.
like wrinkly, like
It was like a wrinkly
skin.
ball of skin with hair on it. It was the
It was
freakiest looking thing.
interesting.
Like when it started to come out,
It's like that's gonna be a head,
Like-
but yeah.
it was freaky.
But then things kind of took like a more serious turn, and the doctor's mood just completely changed. She was pushing, and he was basically saying like, Ashley, you need to push now. Like you have to get him out right
Like, keep
now.
pushing,
push,
keep pushing,
push,
keep pushing.
push. Because what happened was his head basically was halfway out. He was like probably up to like his
It was
forehead.
like right at his eyes.
Yeah. And he wasn't like retracting back.
He wasn't going back in. So basically, he was like just stuck in, I guess, what you call the birth canal. And so what ended up ultimately happening was the next time she pushed, they realized, which is a common thing, I think, among deliveries, but his shoulder got caught on her pelvic bone. So he was not able to come out basically on his own. So the doctor and the nurse had to like spring into action. It was freaky. The doctor like put his hand up all in the carrier and was like maneuvering him around in there. And the other nurse like jumped up on top of her and was like pushing on her pelvis. And then finally, after doing that, he came out. But when he came out, he was super like whitish gray. He was not crying. He was not breathing. So at that point, things took a really serious turn. We did not get to cut the umbilical cord because of the situation, because of how, crazy everything kind of was, and how
We're recording a video.
he
dude.
was, because of how he wasn't really breathing. So they whisked him off back to the back of the room where they had the little baby station set up. It's basically like a little incubator type thing with a bed.
And they announced over.
They
like,
announced over the intercom in the whole hospital, like, emergency pediatric team needed. Our parents were there.
And they
waiting
knew we
in the
were going into
room,
labor, so they started
obviously
panicking.
freaked out when they heard that.
Our phones were buzzing. It was crazy.
So anyway, so the pediatric team shows up, which is like a pediatrician, literally basically every kind of specialist you could imagine. It was wild. There were like 12 people that just like flocked in, and they were like poking him, slapping him, like pulling him. It was crazy. Then they started the little like mask with a little balloon bulb thing,
Like a mouth
which is
to
like
mouth.
baby mouth to mouth essentially. And thank God he did finally start breathing. And then they checked him out. We had to have a lot of testing because the maneuver that the doctor was performing when he had to get him out, like get his shoulder to where he could actually come out, a lot of times it breaks the baby's clavicle, their collarbone, and it can also cause nerve damage in the shoulder. Thankfully, they checked him out. He didn't have any of that, so we got very lucky with that. Really the only, like, I would say side effect or symptom from the delivery that he had. What?
You had a nip slip.
Well, I mean, wow.
Go ahead.
Basically the only kind of lasting effect that he had from the birth was from like here up. He was like really bruised. He was like kind of purplish black here, and then also like a little bit on his shoulder and his arm, sort of where it got like lodged and stuck. So yeah,
Other
so
than
then we kind of hung out in the little nursery. So because of that, we did not get to cut the umbilical cord. The doctor did, obviously, when it was kind of in a mad rush, like get him back there so they could get him breathing and stuff. And then once we got into the nursery, we did have to wait a while before we were able to do like the skin to skin, because obviously they had to get him ready and make sure, like run all those tests to make sure that, everything was okay. And so actually because of this, because of sort of his dramatic entry, they actually ran more tests on him than they would a normal newborn. So
I mean, he had an ultrasound.
he had an ultrasound like of his brain
scan. He had everything.
all
done.
these other tests.
and he's perfect.
Yeah, he was like, they were like, he's perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, there were no real complications from the way he was delivered. So that was really good. And then we just spent a couple days in the hospital, y'all, and we
That
came
was
home, Thursday morning?
Yeah.
This
So
all
we were
happened-
only there over
He was
2
born
nights.
at 1:34 on
the
Tuesday,
27th.
September 27th, and we left the hospital
Thursday.
Thursday morning.
Or Friday morning.
No, Thursday morning.
All right. Well, and for those so that was our birth story. Nothing crazy. I mean, it was
No.
kind of a little bit scary, but it all worked out. He's awesome. And his name y'all, I feel like we've posted it and talked about it, but maybe not.
Yeah.
But his full name is Otto John Reynolds the Fourth.
Yeah.
Obviously, Otto comes from me. I'm the third. Brandon, his middle name is John. Put it together, and this is
That's
our
what
little
you
guy.
get.
So yeah, y'all. We're gonna be trying to post more videos, so make sure you're subscribed. Give this video a thumbs up. Let us know any other questions you have. We might do a Q&A video, so leave some questions for us down below, and we will see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.